It's ClipperBlog Live. Andrew Hahn here. The Clippers fall to the Hawks. 1-0. I should have the score here.
Fine start.
Great start.
109-102. Clippers lose to the Hawks. Let's bring in our national panel. He's too cool for Williamsburg. From Brooklyn, Charlie Widows.
Hey!
The third most recognizable Clipper blogger in the northern Alabama area from 3:45 to 4:12 at Chick-fil-A, Nick Flint. And the devout student of the Miyagi-Do karate system, DJ Foster.
Indeed, much better than the Kobe system.
So let's get started with this game. Charlie, what the hell happened?
The Clippers were carried by two guys tonight, which is great when it's those two guys, but unfortunately they didn't have a third, which I think killed them. And I guess, and I think Nick will give us the numbers, but they got killed from three. I guess part of that was the 5 minutes or so where Vinny Del Negro went zone against 4 3-point shooters, and they just couldn't get stops. And two teams playing for home court, you weren't going to get an easy win out of this one, and they didn't.
Yeah, Charlie alluded to this. The defense has been pretty terrible this game. Not that great the past couple of games. DJ, do you think all that good karma, the credit they built up defensively in that huge OKC win is kind of gone now and they've reverted back to their old ways?
I don't think so. I still think they're playing much better defense than they were in the beginning of the year. For the most part, I thought in the first half at least, I felt like Atlanta was just making a lot of tough shots, and the Clippers were contesting a lot of those shots. But Joe Johnson got a lot of free looks. You expect him, obviously, to kind of go off because he is similar to Rudy Gay, kind of the prototype for, a guy with size who can shoot and also slash a little bit and score at the rim in traffic. So I think as far as looking forward to the playoffs, that's a bad sign that Joe Johnson had so much success against the Clippers D. But for the most part, I don't think the Clippers defense was that horrible. I thought they meshed their coverages pretty well. They played the pick and roll a couple different ways. Really, I felt like the bench was the deciding factor in this game for Atlanta. I thought Ivan Johnson coming in and playing Blake Griffin hard after Blake was pretty much having his way with Josh Smith all night kind of changed the game. So in my opinion, I think Atlanta really just outplayed them more than the Clippers, struggled, in my mind.
Nick, you want to run with that a little bit? I have a tweet comment here from Infull. He says, Blake and Chris go off for 70. Everyone else contributes 32. Yeah.
To me, that's a situation almost like where you look at the someone just walked in the room. You look at like you look at the big three from Miami, and do you really feel that bad if the big three, get 90 points from LeBron, Wade, Bosh? The offense tonight to me was not the issue. It was extremely effective against a good Hawks defense. The main issue Charlie alluded to, I talked about the numbers before the show started. Am I still on here? Things
Yep.
frozen.
You're good.
Keep going.
I'm always worried about robot voice. Anyway, there were a lot of drive-in kicks. That zone hurt a lot. Joe Johnson, I think, hit 4 or 5 threes tonight. He isn't struggling like he did later in the season, last season. But generally speaking, the Clippers couldn't contain some different penetration. Willie Green was open in the corner off penetration and kick a few times, which I love. Fast Willie. I love saying that guy's name. There's so few Willies these days. But yeah, I mostly would put it on the defense. But at the same time, I can agree with DJ to the point where we saw down the stretch they forced turnovers. It's just that the Clippers, the brand of defense that they can play effectively, usually is going to be sort of a gambling style where they have to play the lanes. They have to help a lot on penetration because you're going to have guys, whatever, your Randy Foys, your Caron Butlers, they're not going to leave even if
Robot boys!
Robot boys!
Yeah, just to clean up
I'm
on
pretty much finished up there.
what Nick was saying. Joe Johnson was 6 for 9 from 3-point land, including that
man.
crazy
Yeah.
buzzer beater
Yeah, the dagger.
shot. Yeah. Here's something that I was thinking throughout the game, and Sejin Lee tweets this in. Why doesn't VDN put Reggie in when the Clips are clearly not rebounding well? When they went to that zone for that stretch in, I think at the start of the fourth, not only were the rotations kind of wonky, but they missed so many defensive rebounds, and it felt like the Hawks just got all the second chance points there. Charlie, what do you think?
It's a good question. I think it's easy with someone who's such a specialist to say, well, they were lacking in this area. Inserting this player who does this well would change that. And I just don't, thinking back on the game, I'm not sure that was the issue.
Yeah, would those misses have even been coming with Reggie Evans in the game? Because I saw DJ give up a few, but also he was the reason that Teague driving into the lane wasn't a layup; it was a kick out to Joe Johnson or whoever.
Right.
No, I'm gonna side with her a little bit though on this, and I do completely get your point, Charlie and Nick. But I think when you go zone, if the goal is to get the other team to shoot jumpers, you don't really need Reggie Evans to protect the basket as much, right? And as
You mean
far
DeAndre?
as I mean Reggie.
To protect the basket. Oh.
Yeah, because if the goal is to force jumpers with the zone, then you can put Reggie in to gobble up a lot of those long rebounds because he's more active on the glass, and you don't really ask him to protect the rim as much as you do in man, I guess is what I'm saying. If the goal of the zone is to force jumpers, which I think...
Yeah, because it was, they were conceded. That's kind of the OKC game. Do that.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. You got to factor in, though, that you're going, the spacing is obviously much worse. Even if Kenyon Martin doesn't make any of those long twos, at least he can be there and not look out of place. Does that make sense? Just him being there will draw the defender out more than Reggie.
The reputation.
Right.
Well, yeah. Also, when you give Kenyon Martin the ball, he's not going to just immediately dribble out away from the basket and try to give it up like Reggie Evans does. I mean, he can handle the ball.
I should not have this.
Yeah. Ticking time
bomb. Sometimes I think Kenyon Martin should just do that, though, because there are nights where he just takes the weirdest shots.
Yeah, I mean... He's probably the worst non-perimeter offender, definitely, of those long twos.
There was one tonight where he was, I believe he was actually, his foot was on the three-point line, and there was a good 12, 13 seconds left in the shot clock. That's just absolutely inexcusable. You can't have that from your power forward who shoots less than 30% from outside of 15 feet on the year. You just can't do stuff like that.
Right, yeah, it's weird. It's like... if he's open for 2 seconds, it's like he has to shoot it. He can't not. He evaluates it, and then if he's still open, it's like, okay, I can shoot this now, and then he does.
He takes some odd shots. Some nights I feel like he's good at moving the ball, and other nights, whether I don't know, maybe it's because he's warming up well and he's feeling it in warm-ups. I have no idea. I can't predict his. At least with Nick Young, I have a good idea of when he's going to shoot, and that's all the time. Yeah, right. But with Kenyon has his moments of sharing. It's very odd. You almost prefer it to be on one end or the other, so that his teammates would know what to do.
Right.
I'm just going to read out some of these team stats, and I think it's going to be pretty obvious why the Clippers were down for much of the fourth quarter and ultimately lost. They both teams shot 50% from the field. Atlanta had 6 more possessions than the Clippers did. Atlanta shoots 45.8% from three-point land to 42%. Clippers are 70% from the line, which is actually pretty good for them, I guess. Atlanta's 86%. 14 offensive rebounds, 28 defensive rebounds, 42 to 35 rebounding advantage for Atlanta. They have 24 to 18 assist advantage. Steals were negligible, blocks negligible, turnovers negligible.
We should call this segment Andrew Hahn reads you the box.
It's just, I mean, you sit there wondering like how did the Clippers lose, and then like it just staring at you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we could safely say the zone was tonight because not only did Atlanta shoot well on open threes tonight because of some of the zone. I'm a robot again. Can you understand me?
You're good. Keep going.
Okay, so not only did Atlanta get open looks out of the zone, but also rebounds surrendered. Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what was also interesting was that, like, Blake Griffin had a wonderful game, so did Chris Paul, but the adjustments that Atlanta made I thought Teague was awesome on defense, as well as you can do against Chris Paul. And I think, as you said, Ivan Johnson was great, TJ. They can, they say, like, you can't stop them, you can only hope to contain them. Like, they made a little bit of a difference at the end, and I think that helped.
Yeah,
This was go ahead.
I felt like their whole strategy, and maybe I'm just looking at the stats and kind of confirming it that way, but I felt like they wanted to leave Blake alone in single coverage, and with Chris Paul, they didn't want to overcommit. And I think that's a big reason why you saw the Clippers' wings didn't have the normal open looks that they had. And I felt like Caron Butler had some good looks, but he prefers to shoot off the dribble, so he would take that one dribble and then shoot his pull-up, and all of a sudden it's contested. But as far as Randy Foye goes, a non-existent 0 points for a guy that's been, lighting it up the last 15 games or so, where you can count on him for at least bare minimum 2-3 threes, over the last course of these games, and then to get nothing from him tonight, it's kind of a sign Atlanta went the opposite way. We see teams, Randy Foye is going to beat us, Caron Butler is going to beat us, Nick Young is going to beat us, and Atlanta kind of said, nope. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin can get whatever they want. No one else is going to beat us. So I thought it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if somebody in the playoffs takes a similar approach.
It's kind of the Kobe approach a little bit.
And the Dwight Howard approach. It's just that star approach where some teams say that the star will get his, but no one else on the team will.
And that's a good point with Dwight Howard, because Atlanta did that to Dwight Howard last year. They didn't double. They didn't leave three-point shooters open. They just said, Dwight, you just give Jaren or Jason, you give Twin Collins the business, whichever one it is, and no one else is going to hurt us. So Atlanta's a weird team. They're I don't know how good of a coach Drew is, but he does some interesting tactics, I think, that throw teams off. He's kind of unconventional.
Speaking of the Clippers stars going off, Chris Paul 10 for 20, 4 for 6 from three-point land. And Blake Griffin, 17 for 23, 2 for 4 from free throws. But let's focus.
17 for
17 for 23.
That first quarter, that first quarter was the best quarter I've seen him play. And against Josh Smith, I mean, Josh Smith doesn't have the bulk that he has, but he was decisive and he knocked down the jumper, and it looked better. It wasn't on the way down, and he was just quick to the hoop, and he was great.
Blake was 8 for 10 in that first quarter. I think he only made 4 shots inside the paint. Everything else was outside. So it really showed what Blake could do if he could just figure out that 15-foot, 17-foot jump shot.
Andrew, it made me think, when you said too cool for Williamsburg, it made me think of the time I went and played with my hipster friends in Williamsburg, and I was just so much bigger and better than, and I'm not a very good basketball player, but I was just so much better than everyone, and I wasn't even worried about them defending me. I mean, he just looked so decisive, even in the face of Josh Smith. It wasn't worried about any block shots or anything. He just went up and went at him.
Right, straight out of Charlie's mouth. Blake was playing like
Charlie with us. No, he was incredible tonight. And I agree with you completely, Charlie. I felt like every post move that he made was much more decisive than his usual, feel it out. He just went right at Josh Smith. But then we saw him struggle a little bit with Ivan Johnson, which I think the bigger, bulkier guys that he can't really just make a move and just commit to it fully because there's somebody in his way. We saw it last year a lot with Chuck Hayes. Mm-hmm. He has problems moving those big guys. So, again, another thing to watch for. Zach Randolph is obviously not very small. Dante Cunningham, you can make those moves, though.
On the topic of Blake, Michael Solomon just tweeted, Blake played well, Foy, Mo, Nick did nothing, but why is Blake still passing up open shots in the last 3 minutes? Nick, any thoughts about that?
Well, to be honest, I had some. Am I okay here?
You're good.
You're only a
Okay.
robot in your own head.
Yeah, we'll shout at you if
Yeah.
you're ruining things.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I hate how I always have to check that. Anyway, I don't know. I didn't really see that so much. I saw, they did go mostly with, we saw Ivan down the stretch, and he had to take some fouls on Blake late, which kind of, I think it kind of took away from Blake's aggressiveness in terms of was he thinking about the foul line? Maybe, but at the same time, we saw Chris Paul start attacking some more. Who got it within 4 points late in the game? Who scored that basket? Was that Paul?
Probably Paul.
Yeah.
It's a
Usually
safe
in
bet
the
with
fourth-
Paul or Griffin.
Yeah, normally you
Wait,
can put
was that
money
the
in.
tip dunk? The Blake tip dunk?
Did that get him within 4?
I
That
don't
might have
think
been
that
it.
got them within 4. Was that it?
I think that was a little bit later.
Okay.
Crack analysis.
Someone with someone with better internet than me, check in on that. Check in on the play-by-plays while I'm talking here. But anyway, I mean, the free throws are definitely an issue. The team whole starts going away from Blake in the fourth. I don't think it's as much his choice because I still, he went up against Josh Smith. When he came back in 3 or 4 times down the floor. Johnson had to take a foul or 2 on him late in the game. He was still going up with the ball, generally trying to make plays, but you're not always going to get the same production that you got in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or, none of those quarters were as good as his first. Was it because he was less aggressive? I don't think so. Sometimes you just the scoring opportunities aren't there like there were before, and sometimes you've got Chris Paul waiting in the wings to he scored well all night. So tonight it wasn't that much of an issue.
I think there were a couple instances that he's looking at. I remember one particular possession where Blake had that about the free throw line and looked at the rim and almost sort of pumped, but then kicked out and pulled out to nobody open. I mean, it was just kind of a reset sort of deal, and maybe you want Blake to take that shot. In situations like that, it depends on how you feel. They've had a lot of discussions on True Hoop about the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want Blake shooting that 17-footer, given his, how well he shoots that over the year, or do you believe that if he's hot in that moment that he should take that and he has a better chance of making it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting, Kyle. What do you guys think about the hot hand? Is it a myth? Is it real?
No, I mean anyone who's played basketball, sometimes you feel good. Look at Randy Foy.
Yeah.
Or Mo Williams. Basically pick any third scorer from the Clippers this year, and they've all had the hot hand at some time. Caron Butler, Mo Williams, Randy Foy.
I tend to believe in it too, even if they've had studies that say it doesn't exist. Because I feel the same way. At least when I'm playing basketball, I'm no Charlie Widows. I'm not Blake Griffin, dunking on his hipster friends. But when I get it going, maybe it's a confidence thing that you can't really translate into stats. I don't know, Nick. You probably
It's
know
definitely
more
tough
about
to
this
quantify.
than anybody.
Actually, I wrote like a 5-page little thesis my freshman year on it, but that does not mean I'm about to drop some ridiculous knowledge. My main argument used to be that it didn't really belong in terms of sports because the individual, on an individual case-to-case basis, can we really prove that your previous performance doesn't impact what you're doing the next time down the floor? It's very hard to isolate to me. Am I sounding like a robot? There's typing going on.
Sorry,
No,
it's
but
me.
You sound much smarter about being in favor for the hot hand than all of us just saying we feel it. We feel our hand getting
You're
hot.
like, dude, my hand is really hot right now, you guys.
I also there was an
Science.
argument on this in the True Hoop mailing group, basically, where people were asking about it, getting different thoughts. Yeah, but had some different ones on I hadn't even heard about when I was doing research. That kind of there were better ways to indicate the independence of each shot in certain situations. And then there was a more recent study that showed that in terms of free throws, which is probably about as independent as it gets in basketball, it's the same thing, same shot every time, no defense for every player. And, it said that it's entirely possible that we go through little streaks of better and worse because, what develops your overall average? Well, those small streaks. And is it possible that within those streaks there's a certain dependence on how you're feeling? It's hard to quantify. But overall, my usual go-to argument is kind of a cop-out where I say, it's hard to establish independence in terms of the kind of move a guy's going to make, the kind of defense he's facing, that sort of thing. And in terms of Blake in the fourth quarter, to sum it up, I just think he got position. He was being, when he was in the lane, we don't see him like panicking and throwing it out on a drive or anything. If we start to see that, if we start to see him really shy away from the moment, like when he has excellent post position, then I'll be worried. When he's kind of shy about taking a jumper, mostly I don't mind that as much.
Until Lamar Odom donates his brain to science, we'll never know.
Yeah.
I'm going to clean some of this stuff up, answer some more questions, and then we're going to shut down this Atlanta Hawks game. Charlie, you were right. The Blake Griffin tip dunk did bring it within 4. So
W for Charlie.
I'll take it.
let's see. Some Twitter questions. Andrew, you say, I don't know that I learned anything from this game every night. What about this time? No, I still haven't. There's nothing to learn about this team at this point. We know what we're going to get. Sometimes their defense is spotty. Sometimes they're going to get hot. I don't learn anything from these games because there's nothing left unless
there's nothing left to learn.
Unless Bledsoe somehow goes like 10 for 10 from 3-point land. Is there anything you guys think that we can still learn from these games, or is it just time to go to the playoffs?
I just think
Charlie?
that strategy. I mean, possibly if it's a strategy that teams will employ, that they'll let Griffin and Paul beat them.
Yeah, I like to see how they react, within a game. And I thought it was interesting that Vinny decided to post up Chris Paul some once he recognized that they weren't doubling Blake in the post. So he decided to put Chris Paul there. It didn't work out awfully well, but as you know, I like that. So I think what I'm learning at least is that Vinny is willing to try some different strategies, more so than he was earlier in the season. And that's about as complimentary as I'll get of our fearless leader.
Apostolos tweets in, and this is just for you, Charlie. You have 30 seconds, so be brief. Why doesn't Bledsoe play more with Chris Paul when we're
That's
up?
what I'm talking about. I don't know. I wish someone could tell me. They really don't play. Although it was nice to see him play with DeAndre today. I mean, Kevin tweeted. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was like with those two on the court.
54, like a 54 defensive rating. It's a very small
insane.
sample size. It's incredibly low. Yeah.
Incredibly low?
Yeah, like
Incredibly good, right? Like good. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
So I like
incredibly
to see
cool. It's bad. Like bad, like good.
Yeah. Hopefully next year, training camp, maybe another coach, they work those two in together.
Okay. So that about does it for our Atlanta Hawks. Why did the Clippers lose segment?
Goodbye, Atlanta
Moving
Hawks
on.
game.
I'm going to give you a couple of choices about what we can talk about here, and stop me when something jumps out at you.
There you go.
Flopping, Monty Williams, hard fouls, playoff beards, superstitious stats, the game tomorrow versus the Knicks, and a game that I just came up with called GM Problems.
I was
supposed to
drawn
stop
mostly
you.
to playoff beards.
Yeah,
Playoff beards?
I want to play playoff beards too because I got mine going. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you guys.
Well,
I've
I
been growing
can't.
this for 3 weeks.
I just shaved like yesterday, actually, but it's bad when I don't. It's very bad.
Hopefully
You
the
don't wanna see
Clippers
that.
make it to the playoffs next year, so I can start now for a beard.
Yeah.
I have 14 hairs that by this time next year I can wind back and forth and turn it into a beard.
Oh god.
Wait, Andrew, why don't you break down the playoff picture, and then we can talk about like tomorrow and whatever else as it relates to that.
Should we
Get
care about
ready
tomorrow?
for the most complicated conversation of the evening.
Do it, Andrew.
The playoff picture. The Eastern Conference is pretty close to being set. Chicago's number 1, Miami is locked in at 2, Indiana's locked in at 3. Boston is locked in at 4, I believe, and Atlanta is at 5, but Atlanta will have home court despite being 5 in that first round matchup. Orlando is 6, and New York could possibly jump them if they beat the Clippers tomorrow, and Orlando loses to the Bobcats and to Memphis. And Philadelphia is at 8. I think they can go to 7 if New York loses and Philly wins out, but that seems unlikely with the way Philadelphia's been playing. You guys have any thoughts on the Eastern Conference?
I'm very disappointed. The 76ers really love the team, and now they're so bad. That is all.
So quick analysis, Andrew. Is New York going to want to try to win tomorrow? Are they going to play their starters, you think?
I personally don't think so. I think, Charlie, you're on board with me. Why would they want to play Miami? It seems like they would match up better with Chicago.
Yeah, I don't see why there would be any reason. Although I have noticed a sentiment in New York. It's kind of like this Miami like rivalry ever since LeBron decided to go there instead of come to New York. That I have friends who want to play the Heat with the chance that they could beat them and like get at LeBron. It just makes no sense. I don't get it, but I
wish for.
it seems like a win-win, really.
Flash 40 points, boom.
Just rest the guys, New York.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement. New York should rest and let the Clippers cruise through.
Yep, just go ahead and let us win. That's great.
I'm gonna give you one question here. Chris Paul looked like he was having groin trouble at the end of the game. Do you think that home court is more important for the Clippers? And I'm gonna touch on that in a second. Is home court more important for them, or just resting Chris Paul? DJ, do you want to take that
Home
one?
court. Absolutely home court. Because I think it's going to be a much closer series than you guys think. And I've long said that the Clippers need home court to win in the first round because I think they're a much better home. I mean, like most teams, they're a much better home team than they are on the road. So absolutely, I think, look, Chris Paul's health is obviously extremely important, but there is that, 2-day rest period up until Saturday. Well, actually, it'll be 3 days. So he'll have some time off to be able to heal it. I don't know how much one extra day is going to help that. Of course, I'll look like an idiot if he goes out there, does the splits, tears his groin out for playoffs, which would totally happen to the Clippers, obviously, on the last day of the season in a game that doesn't matter because Vinny has him out there. But all that said, I think they need home court. I would not easily try and give up on that.
Nick, do you think that, like DJ says, home court is more important than watching Chris Paul's groin fall off his body?
Don't make it sound like that. I would love home court, especially because I think most teams are going to, Chris Paul with some bumps and bruises or not, the Clippers are going to be leaning on the role players, and usually, and I think it's almost 99% of the time true, role players are going to perform better at home. If you're leaning on them, you want to have home court advantage.
Yeah, I want to say DeAndre. I don't know. I don't have the splits for sure, but I want to say DeAndre is a completely different player at home as opposed to on the road.
Okay.
Loves
I'm
those
going
mama's tweets.
the Western
Just okay.
Conference. San Antonio is a lock at 1 now. They have two more games left. Yeah, I think they're locked at 1.
They have the tiebreaker, no?
They have the tiebreaker over Oklahoma City, and they're 2 games ahead. So San Antonio can rest the rest of the way in if they want to. Oklahoma City is locked at 2, which is, I guess, good for them because Harden didn't play today, and no one knows when he's coming back. The Lakers are now... Are they locked for... No, they're not locked for 3. They still have to win at Sacramento if the Clippers win tomorrow. So if the Clippers win tomorrow and the Lakers lose at Sacramento on Thursday, then the Clippers are the 3 seed.
Is that right? I think the Lakers locked tonight because they have the tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, I think we had to win both. The Clippers had to win both.
I believe we had to win both, yeah.
Oh, yep, you're right. My standings did not update until just now. So, yeah. Okay, then the Lakers are locked at the 3 seed. The Clippers, if they lose tomorrow and Memphis beats Orlando, then Memphis is now the 4 seed and the Clippers are the 5 seed. Denver and Dallas, I think Denver has to win 1 more, and they will be the 6th seed. Dallas will be the 7th seed. Utah and Phoenix are playing right now, which is basically going to decide the 8th seed. Yep. So it seems like the likeliest scenario is going to be San Antonio versus the winner of Utah-Phoenix. I'm rooting for Utah. DJ,
Same.
I know you tweeted earlier that you want Utah to win.
Very much so. Yep. Mostly because Utah is a better matchup for San Antonio, and because the Clippers, when I looked at the playoff breakdown, Utah was by far the best matchup out of any of the playoff teams for the Clippers specifically. So yeah, I'm rooting for Utah to pull up a magical upset.
And that would be the second round matchup if things stay how they are. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Clippers would get the winner of San Antonio and the 8 seed. Yeah.
Oklahoma City is most likely going to play Dallas. How do you guys like that one? Charlie?
If Harden's not in, it's interesting.
I think I just completely uninformed. I think from what I've read, at least, that Harden should be back. I don't see Rick Carlisle and Dirk's magic will probably win him at least one, but I think Oklahoma City probably cruises through that. I just think they're too much for Dallas.
The Lakers will play Denver probably in the first round. Metta World Peace has a 7-game suspension, so he's probably going to miss that whole first round.
What will they do without him?
And it'll be the the Clippers and the Grizzlies, and I guess tomorrow we'll decide who has home court. Nick,
Yep.
you're on the Clipper bandwagon with Charlie and myself over the Grizzlies, right?
Oh
He's
yeah.
on an island.
Although now I'm kind of wondering, do I want the Grizzlies to get home court just so I can see more of the games live, assuming I get to go and get credentialed for that? I'm selfish. That's right.
You have to put on a shirt with sleeves to get credentialed.
So that pretty much narrows down the playoff picture. I think by tomorrow, 95% of this will be decided.
Well, right. As it relates to the Clippers, 100%.
As it relates to the Clippers, 100%.
Control their own destiny. Got to win tomorrow.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's a nice
weird.
position to be in.
Yeah, definitely.
And
And
let's
you-
not forget, New York isn't that great a team. I mean, it's not like this is like, I think the Hawks are probably more dangerous than the Knicks are. I don't know. I mean, I guess the Knicks have been playing better recently, but this isn't like the
Is
Clippers
are they
Clippers
still
don't need
resting
that.
Tyson Chandler? What's the deal with Chandler?
Yeah,
He's been
that's
in now. He's kind of one of the key tank pieces.
right. Yeah, it all depends on who they play, but a healthy Knicks team scares me actually quite a bit for the Clippers because you got Melo, who
Sure.
I mean, who are the Clippers going to put on Melo? I mean, he'll eat Caron Butler for lunch. And then they got all those 3-point shooters, and we know how the Clippers fare against spot-up 3-point
Oh
shooters.
man, how great would a Clippers-Knicks finals matchup be? Completely imaginary, of course, just to see Steve Novak in a series against the Clippers.
What do you
Oh,
think
man.
that is in Vegas? Like 790,000 to 1 a Clippers-Knicks finals?
I would put $1 on that if it was
You throw a
790.
buck on that? Yeah, that's
790,000 to 1. I'll put $1 on almost anything.
Maybe
Yeah, I
I'm
don't think those odds
exaggerating.
exist.
That's how much I go to Vegas, as you guys. Yeah.
That's going to be part of our Summer League live podcast, is just us making weird bets that we don't get.
That's right. Can you bet on
Live
Summer League games?
Well, what's that?
Ooh, I'm sure.
Oh, dude. Vegas is going to be so on. I can't wait for us to break down spreads on Summer League games.
I think that the Knicks. Well, Mike Smith had said that they were thinking about resting Amari and Melo tomorrow in addition to Chandler. So theoretically, that should be a cakewalk. Except the Clippers have had problems with teams that rest players.
That's true. That's an excellent point. And also, do not underestimate Steve Novak's revenge.
Truth.
Yeah, Steve Novak and J.R. Smith, the former Clipper and the would-be Clipper, just shooting, I don't know, probably like 25 for 27 from three-point land. That would just seal the regular season, wouldn't it?
We're so fearful. We're so scared. If they rest those guys, and the Clippers absolutely have to win, you would think, you would hope that they'd be able to take care of business. It's a bad sign for the playoffs if they can't. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Here's an interesting stat that has no bearing probably on the postseason. There's only 4 teams in the Western Conference that have 500 or better road records. Do you guys know who that is?
Ooh, that's
Charlie?
a fun game.
I don't know.
You don't know anyone. DJ?
That have better road records than home records?
Not better road records, plus 500 on the road.
Oh, above 500. Well, okay, we'll say San Antonio.
Yep.
Oklahoma City.
Yep.
They got to be there. And then
Yeah.
the next, oh, that's tough.
Nick?
Are the Clippers in there?
The Clippers are 500 right now.
Are they?
They are.
Okay.
Wow, that's fun. Who's the fourth? It's not the Lakers.
It is not the Lakers. The fourth team is Denver. They are 16 and 15
Huh.
right now on the road.
And we always talk about their home court advantage.
Yeah, fun fact.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's another fun fact. If the Clippers win tomorrow, they will have an above 500 record on the road for the first time since they moved to Los Angeles.
Another fun fact. I feel like you deserve points for these.
Yeah.
Yep. Useless Michael Smith facts.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, those are from Mike Smith?
No, it's just that the
Oh, that's the name of it. Okay, I got you.
they never lose if Blake Griffin gets five
Right.
assists.
They've
Yeah.
never lost a single game.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that about does it. Unless no, we'll save these for later.
Okay.
For a later date.
Oh, that's a tease.
That is a
Look
tease.
out, everybody.
So
Hook, line,
tomorrow,
sinker, viewers.
Clippers versus Knicks. Who is the favorable, unfavorable, and cringeworthy matchups? And I guess you'll just have to decide who's tanking.
Yeah.
Charlie, you have the favorable.
Well, it could be like favorable as if the Knicks are tanking, unfavorable as if they're not. But again, let's see, individual match. I mean, yeah, as DJ said, you said favorable.
Favorable for the Clippers.
Well, obviously that's the point guard. The Knicks point guard platoon is hideously horrible. Between, I believe I heard someone from ClipperBlogger say that Mike Bibby is the best option right now at point guard.
I heard that too.
Oh, wow.
And I spit my drink everywhere when he said that.
I
Chris
believe that
Paul
means the
might
Clippers have
score
4 point guards better than the Knicks have any at this point.
All right, DJ, unfavorable matchup.
Unfavorable for the Clippers. I'm gonna go with our boy Novak, and I will say if Baron Davis plays, a motivated, angry Baron Davis is still slightly scary. I know I'm going with the story here as opposed to his play, but we've seen Baron turn it on at very weird times. So I'll say that's unfavorable. If I don't know, has he been playing? I know he had the stomach, thing. So we'll
He's
see if he
played.
plays.
Apparently he doesn't shoot anymore, which I guess like a disciplined defense could exploit, but that doesn't describe the Clippers defense. So
Right. Right. I my unfavorable though mainly is Novak. Oh, Steve Novak.
I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait to see Steve Novak against the Clippers.
Nick, the cringeworthy matchup for.
I'm so glad that I got cringeworthy because it is definitely, especially if the Knicks are tanking, J.R. Smith versus Nick Young. Who can take the worst shots? I cannot wait. Oh,
That
man.
is the definition of cringeworthy.
There's going to be too much swag for the building to hold. And swag is horrible long twos and contested threes, by the way.
The house that. Very good.
I personally just hope that Baron Davis has an axe to grind with the Clippers and just goes into hero ball, chuck it from three, like dribble the clock for 20, 23 seconds and just throw that fadeaway shot that he's so in love with, and let the Clippers just walk out with that one.
I've got a fun fact for you guys. Who's the last Clipper to score the most points in Madison Square Garden? The last player to score above 25
I know.
points in Madison
I know
Square
this.
Garden. Who is it?
I'm blanking on his damn name.
Oh, come on. You know it. It's right there. Nick?
He was
I
so
have no
good.
idea.
He went to Iowa State.
Yes. Oh, ClipperBlog readers are just shouting at us at this point.
He
Like
had 36.
Jones
I
or
was
whatever?
there.
I'm gonna hang you over. I'm just letting it sink. Andrew, do you know?
I have no idea, especially if he's from Iowa State. No idea.
Mike Taylor.
Mike Taylor.
Mike Taylor.
And of course,
Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, the house that Mike Taylor built. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't believe how recent that was. I was thinking like early 90s.
No. And that was the game. That was the game where, for the second time in 2 games against the Clippers,
Al
Al Harrington lost the game by hanging on the rim.
That's right. That was just such a fun night for all involved.
Yeah.
Oh, brief Mike Taylor update. I think last season he was in the Philippines and JP Manahan, I think, told me about that. So yeah, he was
Yeah.
a fan favorite. I'm going to go ahead and claim.
And
Of
I'm
course.
reading that book now.
Nice.
And
Oh,
now I
Pacific
can tell you
Rims?
guys how good it is. Oh gosh, what's the name of it again?
Pacific.
Hoops.
Pacific Rims. Yeah,
Pacific
Pacific
Rims,
Rims. So far, it's excellent. I'll have you guys know. I can't wait to go to the Philippines. It sounds lovely.
Pretty sure it would be like my Williamsburg experience where I would just run things.
Very much so. Very much so.
All right, guys. Do the Clippers win tomorrow, get home court, or do they lose? Nick, what is your prediction for tomorrow's game and score?
110 to 94, Clippers win, and the Knicks will attempt 50 3-pointers.
Wow.
DJ, how about you?
I think it's the first time on any of these shows I've ever predicted a Clippers win because I just always guessed loss. And that way, if they lose, I'm happy because I was right. If they win, they won, so I'm happy. They like hedging my bets that way. But I'm going to say the Clippers win against the Knicks because they're going to bench their guys. The Clippers absolutely need a win. I'm going to say Clippers get the W 104-92.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'll finish the regular season optimistic as well. Clippers win 113-104. High scoring.
113-104.
The winner
Okay.
gets to place the first Summer League bets in Vegas.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will say the Clippers win. What would the score be? I'll go 101-78.
Jeez.
Beat
So
down.
the Knicks just go into full
Holy
Golden State
cow.
tank mode. And
Not
yeah,
a Steve Novak believer, that Andrew.
and we'll see a full fourth quarter of Trey Tompkins is what will happen. So it won't the
Only hope.
score will be will
Don't
not
tease us.
indicate how close this game was.
Nice.
Okay. So I think that's about going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, guys? No?
Any Clipper fans in the building tomorrow? If you see me, say hello.
You gonna be there? You gonna be at the Mecca?
It's not 100%, but I think so.
That's exciting. Well, my final thought is I'm very jealous of you and of you, Nick Flint, for possibly going to the Memphis series. I'm just gonna sit in LA, not being able to go to the game. So hope you guys have a great time.
We will maybe, I don't know, there's got to be like a $40 top of the whatever upper level ticket that we can get you, DJ. You're going to see a Clippers playoff game live.
Playoff seats, baby. No, I'm gonna sneak in. I got a Staples Center usher uniform from this guy that I married. Let's end the show, Andrew.
All right.
Don't
us that.
reveal the plan.
Yes.
So for Nick Flint, Charlie Widows, DJ Foster, I'm Andrew Hahn. Thanks for tuning in.